Apple's unveiled a major redesign with iOS 26 introducing something called Liquid Glass, a sleek, translucent new look powered by its AI platform and also OpenAI's ChatGPT. But while the keynote was heavy on AI buzzwords, one name was suspiciously absent from it all: Siri. Apple says its voice assistant still needs more time. Surprising delay as it scrambles to catch up in the AI race. For more, we're joined by Sultan from Sultan Interactive Group. These are massive events, the Worldwide Developer Conference for Apple, obviously, where we see leaps forward. But when it comes to AI, what we've been noticing with Apple is they're a long way behind.
They seem to have come out of the gate early with this, and most of their applications for AI have been a bit of a nothing burger. It's great that you have, a new standardization for glass across all your devices. It's wonderful that you're standardizing your operating system to the year. So now we're jumping from 18 to 26, which is just going to confuse a whole bunch of people because they don't watch the WWDC. But there aren't any major changes. They've changed how you access photos. They've made that more complicated, I think, for users. Most of the enhancements that we're seeing seem to be enhancements that satisfy a Silicon Valley echo chamber and not what most of your users want. And at the same point in time, to your point, there isn't good integration for AI. There isn't good utility for AI right now. And most of what it's been used for is great. I can find, an item inside of my photos, but it's nowhere near 20% as useful as any of the AI apps that I can just natively download from the App Store.
Yes, and they really had a big miss with the iPhone 16 when it came to promising that Apple Intelligence would be able to do things that they still can't do. The fact that they get to the WWDC, and we're talking about for the next year, and they're still saying it's not ready, shows the challenges that they must be having. I mean, the reporting on what has been going on behind the scenes at Apple when it comes to Apple Intelligence, and the very fact that they're having to rely on an outside platform, ChatGPT, OpenAI, owned 50% by Microsoft, is almost sacrilege to a lot of Apple users and fans. Generally, they're last at things, but they do it better. They're last at AI, but they're not doing it better. What are your thoughts?
What's funny is that the Gulf countries, specifically, I think it was the Emirates, have now just rolled out ChatGPT Plus to all of their citizens. You don't even have that kind of basic feature functionality coming out of Apple's AI core. It's not integrated with apps. There wasn't any major announcement of how it's going to be integrated with the developer ecosystem. There aren't any major big pushes for developers. So this kind of goes back to right around the time Steve Jobs passed, and everyone was worried about nothing burgers coming out of Apple. I mean, that's what we're seeing now. I don't know how this is going to fare with their stock.
Well, it went down. Their stock actually dropped, from what we understand, by at least 1% as this came through because of the concerns, exactly as you mentioned here. And it is frustrating for a lot of Apple fans out there who love the brand and love to see them at the forefront. It does feel like these are just graphic design changes. Liquid glass is lovely, but we saw it all with the vision glasses, the goggles that no one seems to be buying. It feels like it's another graphical design update as opposed to major enhancements to software. What do you think?
It's as we call it in America, it's lipstick on the pig. People are expecting something bigger from Apple, and I think the challenge that they have from an executive level is that if you look at what their earnings are, 200 billion of what they make is just the iPhone suite, right? The iPhone, the iPad, the watch. A good chunk of what they're making is on hosted services, but they're not making anywhere near what they were making on hardware previously. And I think that the challenge is that inside of an ecosystem where people are looking for more specialized tools for AI, the user base is changing, the way that people are buying devices is changing. They might find themselves by sometime next year in a bit of a pickle where they're still trying to keep up with the Joneses when it comes to AI. And at the same point in time, people are saying, why should I? upgrade? Why spend this money? And that could be very significant, I think, by Q2 of next year in terms of not just their earnings, but what the stock performance should be.
Which is a shame to see Apple heading down this path. I mean, it has been a phenomenal company, probably one of the best in global history at development and change, but it feels like under Tim Cook, and we've spoken about this at Ticker, it has become a marketing machine. Very good when it comes to small improvements and probably very good for shareholders, but what happens when the technology slows? Now, happening right around this, and their reliance on ChatGPT is interesting because, of course, Sam Altman has teamed up with Johnny Ive, the man who designed the iPhone, designed the iPod.
I was about to mention that.
Yeah, what do you think that this could be the moment that Apple gets usurped?
It could be. You know, the big question for a couple of years has been, is Elon going to release an X phone? Is something else going to come up to challenge Apple? But when you have Apple's chief designer now spun out from Apple, now working with Altman, it's very likely that we may be looking at a new device or a new phone coming forward. You also have to couple this with the fact that Generation Z is not as apt to use social media as generations previous. There's a lot of people that are looking at investing in dumb phones now, you know, because it's just too much to keep up with. And there is more than likely going to be a shift.
What has happened to us, Oz, where we were right at the front line and now it's going back to how it was? Are they going to be playing Snake on these phones while they're waiting for their shift, which was my life as a 15-year-old? Anyway, we've got to leave it there for now. Always appreciate your insights and your thoughts. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.